I worked 2 jobs for 8 months so my wife could finish her degree. I skipped lunches, slept in my car between shifts. I was so proud when she graduated. But when I showed up to surprise her at the ceremony, they told me she'd taken her diploma and left, with a professor. I stood there alone in the rain, holding flowers. 2 years later, she called me crying. He left me with nothing. I told her. I know. That was the plan. I don't know what I'm hoping to get out of writing this. Maybe someone will read it and realize they're not alone. Or maybe it's just time I got this all out. Either way, here it is. I'm Ray. I live in Akron, Ohio. 3 years ago, I was just your regular blue-collar guy. I worked full-time at a warehouse, unloading trucks and running forklifts. Hard work, honest work. Nothing fancy. I was married to Sierra for 5 years. She was beautiful, sharp, driven, always talking about how she'd go back to school and do something meaningful with her life. She wanted to be a therapist. She said she wanted to help people find themselves. I used to love hearing her talk about it. It gave her a glow. We didn't have a lot of money. Not enough for both of us to work full-time and pay for college, that's for sure. So when she got accepted into the University of Akron's psychology program, we sat down and figured it out. She'd quit her job and go full-time. I'd pick up extra hours at the warehouse and find something on the side to make it work. I ended up working security overnight at a cold shipping dock about 25 minutes away from our apartment. So for 8 straight months, I worked 16-hour days. I'd finish a day shift at the warehouse around 5 p.m., then grab a gas station sandwich and drive across town to start a 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. security shift. I usually just slept in my car for a couple hours before going back to the warehouse in the morning. Sometimes I'd skip food entirely to save a few bucks for groceries or Sierra's books. We couldn't afford a second car, so she took mine to get to school. I walked when I could, bummed rides when I couldn't. I didn't complain. I was proud to be helping her do what she dreamed of. She told me every week how grateful she was. Said I was her rock. She'd make me little cards and leave them in my lunch bag. To my hero, one said. I still remember that one. I taped it to the inside of my locker at the warehouse. And then came graduation day. She told me she didn't want a big scene, that she'd feel awkward if I showed up. It's mostly for the students, she said. Besides, I'd rather celebrate with just you after. Just the two of us. I believed her. But I couldn't help myself. I was proud. I got off the night shift early, cleaned up at the warehouse, and went straight to a flower shop. I bought her white lilies, her favorite. I even dug out the only nice shirt I owned, something I hadn't worn since our anniversary 2 years before. It was raining that day. One of those spring storms that comes out of nowhere. I drove across town to the university, parked a few blocks away, and walked in holding the flowers in a paper sleeve. I remember how cold the water was dripping down my neck. I didn't care. But when I got there, they told me the ceremony had just ended. I figured I'd catch her coming out. I waited. People came out in caps and gowns, hugging family, taking photos. I kept looking for Sierra. After 20 minutes, I asked one of the staff members where she was. She frowned, like she didn't want to say. She already picked up her diploma, she said. She left. Left? I asked. With who? The woman looked uncomfortable. With one of the professors. I stood there, soaked to the bone, flowers starting to wilt in my hand. I didn't even move. I couldn't. I just kept looking around like maybe she was still there. Maybe they were wrong. But she wasn't. She was gone. I drove home. Her clothes were gone. Her books, too. There was a note on the kitchen table. Ray, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. But I've found something real. I hope you can understand. That was it. No explanation. No goodbye. Nothing. She left me for her psychology professor. Some 40-something guy named Brent or Brett or something. The kind of smug academic who probably talked circles around her and made her feel seen. I never met the guy, but I saw a picture of him once when I looked him up later. He looked like the kind of man who had never worked a physical job in his life. I lost it for a while. I quit one job. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Everyone kept telling me, "You're better off without her." But it didn't help. I felt like I'd been gutted. But after a few weeks, something clicked. I realized I'd been nothing but a stepping stone. She used me to pay her way through school. To get her degree. To get into the life she really wanted. And once she had it, I was useless. I didn't want her back. I wanted her to feel what I felt. So I started thinking. Planning. It wasn't about violence or anything like that. I'm not that kind of man. But I knew one thing. Sierra was the kind of person who always needed someone else to carry the load. Someone to believe in her more than she believed in herself. Someone to give up everything so she could shine. So I figured out how to take that away. I didn't hear from Sierra for almost 2 years. That part is important. After she left, I spent a few months wrecked. I drank too much. I ignored bills. I missed shifts. But eventually, I snapped out of it. Not because I forgave her. Hell no. But because I had something better than forgiveness. I had a plan. I knew she'd gone off with her professor, but I didn't know where until I found her by accident. I was scrolling through Facebook one night. An old friend tagged her in a photo. It was her and the professor, all smiles, holding wine glasses in front of a fireplace. It was a post from Asheville, North Carolina. That was all I needed. I started watching from a distance. I created a fake account, something simple, a single dad, looking to restart his life, with a believable backstory. I joined local groups she followed. Parenting groups, therapy interest pages, even a subreddit for psychology graduates. I didn't interact with her directly. That would have been stupid. But I paid attention to everything she posted. Turns out, Sierra had started a little practice with him, her, and the professor. Private therapy counseling for couples and individuals. She posted motivational quotes, videos about self-love, and every once in a while, a photo of the two of them hosting seminars. They called themselves Healing Forward Therapy. I almost threw up when I saw that name. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Her professor, his name was actually Dr. Keene, had been married when she started seeing him. Divorced now, but that kind of thing doesn't go unnoticed in small professional circles. Through a couple burner emails and some light digital digging, I figured out their office lease was under his name alone. She wasn't even on the paperwork. That told me a lot. So I waited. Quietly. For over a year. I watched their business grow on social media. They ran couples healing retreats that charged over $1,500 for a weekend. A joke, considering how they started. But I wasn't bitter anymore. I was patient. That kind of fake success always rots from the inside. And then, about 5 months ago, cracks started showing. Sierra stopped posting photos with him. The seminars dropped off. Her updates got more emotional, more scattered. Then she started writing long posts about betrayal, about trust being broken. She was getting sloppy. I knew the clock was ticking. 3 weeks ago, she posted a selfie at a bar, tagged alone. First time I'd seen that. Then last week it happened. She called me. I stared at the phone when I saw her name pop up. I let it ring 3 times before I answered. "Ray?" Her voice was shaky. I hadn't heard it in 2 years. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. But I didn't know who else to call. I didn't say anything. I just let her talk. "He left," she said. "He emptied our account. I didn't even know. The business, it's gone. He took the lease, the clients, everything. Said it was all in his name. I don't even have a place to stay." I let the silence hang there. Just long enough. "I don't know what to do," she said. "I have nothing. And I said it. Slow. Clear. I know, I said. That was the plan. She didn't speak right away. I could hear her breathing, like she'd been punched in the chest. What do you mean? She asked. I kept my voice even. You thought I just moved on? Forgot everything? You used me, Sierra. You left me in the rain, holding flowers. So I made sure the only person you trusted more than me would do the same to you. You're lying, she whispered. No. I'm not, I said. I made sure you'd fall for a man just like you, someone selfish, someone who needs to feel adored. I knew he'd use you. That he'd dump you when you were no longer useful. That's why I waited. That's why I never said a word. She cried then. Really cried. I didn't feel good. I didn't smile. I just felt finished. Like I'd finally put something back in balance. She asked me if we could talk. If I'd just hear her out. I hung up. But this isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. I thought that call would be the end. I thought I'd finally scratched the itch that had kept me awake for 2 years. But something about the way she cried stuck in my head, not because I felt sorry for her, but because I didn't trust it. Sierra always knew how to use tears like a weapon. A week after I hung up on her, I got a call from a blocked number. I didn't answer. The voicemail was short. You're not who I thought you were, Ray. But I get it now. I just hope someday you remember who I really was. I didn't call her back. But I started looking again. She'd moved back to Ohio. That part surprised me. Not Akron, but a little suburb called Cuyahoga Falls. She was staying with some old college friend, Natalie something. I only knew because she posted a selfie in a living room I recognized. I'd been to that apartment once, years ago, when Sierra dragged me to a girls' brunch. A week later, I saw a GoFundMe page shared in a therapy support group on Facebook. The title? Starting Over, From Trauma to Healing. The photo was her. Face soft. No makeup. A sad smile. The story? She was claiming she'd been emotionally abused and manipulated by her mentor, who coerced her into an unhealthy business partnership, then abandoned her. She described herself as financially isolated, emotionally gaslit, and recovering from a devastating professional betrayal. The fundraiser goal was $25,000. And she already had over $3,000 in donations. My stomach turned. She was doing it again. Turning herself into a victim. Rewriting the story so she'd come out the hero in her own personal drama. And people, strangers online, were eating it up. She even got featured in a local online newsletter about women entrepreneurs rebuilding after heartbreak. That's when I realized she hadn't learned a damn thing. I started getting messages from mutual friends. Old friends of hers. They said she was telling people I had left her in the dust when she needed support the most. That I ghosted her. After she got her degree and she spiraled into a toxic relationship because she felt abandoned. I laughed when I first heard it. Then I got angry. Because now she was dragging my name through the mud to clean up her own mess. But it didn't stop there. 2 weeks later, I came out of my apartment to find a business card on my windshield. It said, Healing After Him, free support group for women recovering from manipulative partners. Her name was listed at the bottom. Sierra, MS Psych. I stood there in the cold with that card in my hand, staring at her name, while my rage boiled underneath everything. I had spent years being her silent safety net, her invisible labor. Then I made peace with letting her fall on her own. But she wasn't falling. She was flipping the script again. Selling a version of events that turned her betrayal into some kind of twisted redemption arc. And I realized something I hadn't let myself admit until then. This wasn't about getting even anymore. It was about stopping her. I started digging deeper. I wasn't interested in exposing her to the world. Not at first. But I needed to know if this was just another hustle or something worse. I looked up her Support group. It wasn't licensed, of course. No surprise there. She didn't have the credentials to run group therapy legally, just a bachelor's in psych and a handful of motivational speeches. But she'd found a loophole. She called them coaching sessions and marketed it as peer support. That let her avoid regulation. She was charging women $50 a head, weekly, to sit in a room and listen to her rewrite her life story. I sat in on one, under a fake name. I drove 45 minutes out of town to where she hosted it, some rented back room in a community center near Hudson. I wore a hat, trimmed my beard, kept my head down. She didn't recognize me. The things she said in that room almost made me walk out. She called me a shadow in her past, told the group how I'd belittled her dreams, how she had to escape the chains of her first marriage, just to breathe, how she trusted another man too fast, meaning Dr. Keene, but at least learned the truth in the end. The women in that room nodded. One even hugged her after. I left shaking. My hands were fists by the time I got back in the car. So I made a choice. Not out of spite. Out of truth. I collected everything. Screenshots, photos, financial documents from public records, her old posts about Keene, even the graduation day timestamp from her Facebook back when she still had me tagged. Then I created a simple blog. I posted it all. I didn't embellish. I didn't name her. But I told my side. Truthfully. Step by step. I called the post. I worked 2 jobs so my wife could graduate. She left me for her professor. 2 years later, she called me crying. I didn't push it out at first. I just let it sit. Then someone found it. Then someone shared it on Reddit. Then someone posted it in the comments under her GoFundMe. It blew up. Suddenly people started asking questions. Donors pulled out. Local bloggers ran with the story. Empowerment coach accused of manipulating supporters. Started trending in Northeast Ohio groups. Her name never left my lips. But people figured it out fast. Then came the kicker. Dr. Keene's ex-wife had been watching, too. She'd apparently been through hell during his affair with Sierra and had been waiting for someone to knock the pedestal out from under both of them. She reached out to me, shared emails, documents, even photos that proved Sierra was involved in decisions that cost her access to her own children for a year. The final nail? A voicemail Sierra had left on Dr. Keene's phone, which his ex had saved. In it, Sierra bragged about how easy it was to make Ray believe in her, and how he wouldn't last a month without her. She laughed in it. Said, "He's just a worker bee. He'll never sting." I posted it. It was over after that. The GoFundMe shut down. Her website went offline. Her support group canceled all future meetings. Last I heard, she packed up again, left Ohio. No new online presence. Like she'd vanished. And me? I didn't come out of it clean. A few friends I still had told me I should have let it go. That I should have moved on. But I couldn't. Because some people don't learn from quiet endings. Some people only hear the lesson when it echoes. I worked 2 jobs to build her a future. She used me and called it love. Then she used others and called it healing. So I gave her the one thing she never planned for, accountability. Now when I sleep, it's real sleep. No dreams. No wondering where she is. Because I know. She's out there. Running. Just like I planned.